ఇదో వస్తున్నారు. Yeah, hello, good morning. Actually, there was an issue with my PC. That was the main delay. Never mind. Okay. I think in the last class, Sir discussed about, I think, what was that? Sorting, right? Let me know the status, what he said. Because today we are going to discuss about the lab, what we consisting of, what the things are available inside the lab. Maximum, I will try to explain a two experiment in this session. I will try to, because in the exercise one itself, there are three programs, and inside exercise two, yeah, I think the same three experiments is there. I will try to do that. Actually, Varadaraj sir shared a blog for you. So each and every program is available over there. Okay. And he didn't mention the output over there. I just checked each and everything, and he posted in only a single manner. So we can only get in one way. So I'm going to discuss in how many ways we are going to get the output. If not necessary for you, you can say that, sir, it is not necessary. It is enough. What are all the things available? If you learn somewhat bit different, so that it is easy for you to learn each and everything. Okay. It is okay for you. It depends on you. I will teach you in different format how you are going to get the output. So first, let me show you that. This is the blogger. Sir, just let me share this one. Wait a second. Am I audible? Respond. Am I audible? Yeah. Okay, thank you. So, okay, Sir discussed about dynamic change of an array. Yeah, actually, we discussed the topic yesterday. The main concept of a Java and C, C++, all are high-level languages. But I got confused, like in Java, we can achieve the dynamic memory allocation or a dynamic change of an array size. But in C, some compilers, in C language, some compilers allow that one at the time of size change of an array, because some compilers like TurboC doesn't allow, I think. But in some compilers are there. So if you are going to compile a C program inside in other compilers, like not a TurboC, so many compilers are there to compile a C language. So many compilers are there, but some compilers allow a dynamic change of an array size. Maybe I'm expecting actually. So previous TurboC compilers doesn't change the size of an array. Please try it out in your PC. Like if you have a TurboC in your PC, try to work on that. I think, did he gave any example for that? Please respond. Then only I will know, because the dynamic change of an array is an important part. Did he give any example for that, or let me tell you the only writing on notepad? Okay, on notepad about execution. Cool. Okay, so let me share you my screen. Uh, search. Okay. I tried so many ways to teach you, so many ways how you are going to get the output. So at least one of the way you will remember. Okay, this is the first program. This is the first program. Is it visible? Is it visible? So according to our lab manual, we are having a program called a data type default values. As we discussed in the Java, there are two types of data types are available. One is a primitive and another one is a non-primitive. The usage of a primitive is somewhat a different way, and the usage of a non-primitive is somewhat different way. So in the case of a string, let me show you that. In the case of string, this is, we call it as a data type, but in some scenarios, we'll call it as a non-primitive data type. So in your book, they will say like accept string. They will call it as all. This is also primitive data type. They will treat it as, because at the time of development in Java, I think when the Sun Microsystems designed Java, they treat this as a non-primitive data, primitive data type. But in our language, I mean, while we are working on that, we'll treat it as a non-primitive data type. Please remember this one. The string scenario is somewhat different compared with other data types. Whether inside a primitive data type is having a Boolean, byte, int, float, double, char. So these are the primitive data types. So they considered this as a primitive data type. But according to our subject, we'll treat it as non-primitive data type, because so many non-primitive data types are available. One is integer, another one is a float. So you can recognize this. See, now primitive data type starts with a small letter, and this starts with a capital letter. Let me, okay. This starts with a capital letter. So this is the main variation in between that. The usage is somewhat different. If it is a non-primitive data type, the object will be created. So this is a class file. This is a class file. This is a class, and it consisting of so many methods. In our example, we are going to use that one. So like if you are going to parse in the sense, what we call, yeah, parsing in the sense we are going to change one data type to another data type. At that sense, let me show you that. Integer dot, it is not taking because I need to assign a value, or else it can't be. So in the sense of a parsing in the sense we are going to change one data type to another data type. If it is a integer, I mean, sorry, if the string consisting of int values, like, let me show you that, value is equal to 10. So I declared in this way, which is not in a proper manner, because this is integer. It is expecting like, but we can save the data in this. See, now it has been considered as a string value. So if you want to change it to the integer, we have to use a non-primitive data type. So integer dot parseInt is available. Int x is equals to integer dot parseInt, and I'm going to take a value over here, and now the value has been parsed as an integer. So this is the scenario. We are using an integer. These are all the objects or the classes. So by using this reference, we are calling the parseInt method inside this by using a dot operator. So I think you got the good idea about primitive and non-primitive data type. This is a small example and basic example given in the lab manual. At the time of class, if there is any doubt, I will give you 5 minutes. I mean, yeah, it is enough. Make your doubt in the chat box, okay, so that I will know. So the program is printing the default values of primitive data type. What are the primitive data types? The Boolean, byte, int, float, double, and char. There is no need to remember the size of a Boolean, byte, int. No one is going to ask that one, because it ranges from minus 128 in the sense of integer, minus 128 to plus 120. There is no need to remember everything, because so many data types are there. So how is going to allocate the memory? We know that by using a JVM going to arrange each and everything inside a method area. So what is the usage of a JVM, Java Virtual Machine, which arranges the memory allocation for the application program itself. So when you are going to create data types or methods, each and everything will be stored inside a method area. But in the sense of an objects or an arrays, they're going to store inside heap area. This is the main difference. So what is, there is no need to remember each and every size. Okay. Now we are going to print that one. I think this is a basic program. You can easily understand. So what is a Boolean? Boolean in the sense, what is the two outcomes for that? True and false. Okay, there are two outcomes, true and false. A byte, a single digit. A byte in the sense, it consisting of what is 1 byte is equal to 8 bit, right? I think you know this. 1 byte. 1 byte is 8 bits. Okay, so there is no need to remember this one also, but this is a basic one. Just remember this one. So these are 8 bits. Only it is having a single value. So byte in the sense it is having only single value. In the sense of a float, if we are having any decimal values. So in the sense of a decimal values, and these two are different, but each and every data type supports decimal values. If after the decimal we are having more than 2, we have to use double. Yeah, you can declare after 2 decimals also. I mean, after the decimal, if you're having 2 values, let me show you the example. 5.22. Yeah, this is also allowed, but in some scenarios, while you are calculating and you are going to use a division methods, we should not use a float value. So each and every programmer will suffer a lot for these two things, because while you are displaying in some scenarios, you will get the output as like this, and for other people, some people will get like this. So it depends on the calculation. That's why the people won't, maximum they will avoid this. They will seal to 5. So they will treat all the values as a 5. So if there is any decimal values, so if it is more than 0.5, if there is a 0.5 and above, they will treat this as a 6. So these two things are like a headache for the programmers. Each and every time they will suffer while calculating integer values like A division B. So in this scenario, they will seal it. Seal and floor, you know these two things, right? Seal and floor. SIL, seal and floor. Floor in the sense, sealing in the sense, making higher. If the decimal value is 0.5 and above, they are going to consider the mass. 5.6 is 6. If it is like 5.3, they will consider to the floor 5. So this is the usage of these two things. And a character, it consisting of only a single character like this. In the sense of string, we are going to use double quotes. But in the sense of a character, we have to use a single quote. Okay, now we got the point, right? So nothing else, just I'm explaining how the data types react. Okay, I think it is enough for this, I think. Yeah. So here, why they mentioned a static over here? What is a static? Stay inside it, within the class, stay inside the class. So this is the class consisting of inside. Inside the class, we are going to use a dynamic in the sense somewhat different. So if I'm going to, again and again, I'm explaining the things which are very important. If I'm going to call test method, I'm going to call, this is a method calling. I need to create the method having the status as a static only, or else it throws an error. So, or else it throws an error. What it will say is non-static method test cannot be referred as a static context. So context in the sense, in this context, it doesn't allow. Static is essential. That's why I'm going to print these values and I'm going to access what are all the things outside the main method. That's why these things are mentioned as a static. Okay, so I think you got the point. It is outside this method and you are going to access the variables. If you're going to access a method outside it, you have to take a static, and inside, if there is any variables also, they should be declared as a static only. So non-static methods cannot be accessed by the static method. What is the main consisting of a static? That's why each and everything, if you're going to access from outside this method, should be declared as a static only. Okay, let me run this. If it is inside, there is no need to declare as a static. I will show that output also. Okay, okay, let me delete this one. Okay. See, these are the default values. Let me maximize this. Yeah. Yeah, this is the default value. So the default of a byte is a 0. Integer, for the default value of integer is 0. Float is 0.0 and the double is 0.0. That's why I said, see, these two things are displaying the same value. Will get confused, but maximum try to use an integer. If the scenario of a divisions, try to use a double, do not use a float. So at the time of working, you will understand that doesn't matter. So there is a null value over here. This is like, see, there is a 0. This is not a 0. This is a null. 5. I think you know about a 5, right? The char they considered as a 5. So this is the default output for that. And the Boolean, by default, it stores a false value. Boolean stores a false value by default. Please remember that. It doesn't store a true. By default, Boolean stores a false value. Okay. I think you got each and everything. Is there any doubts in this program? This is one of the program in the first experiment. Is there any doubts? Let me know. Just 1 minute. I will give you. Is it recording? Yeah, it is recording. Forgot. Okay, okay, I will show this one also. Let me. So in the sense, and I want to tell you one thing. Let me make a comment for this. Yeah, the shortcut for this is Control Shift and forward slash. So that if you want to make any comment, see, I'm deleting this. Just select what you want to make a comment and press on Control Shift and forward slash so that it will be commented. Okay, so if you are going to use this inside your main method, you have to initialize the values or else it throws an error. So why, you can ask like, so here you didn't initialize over here, but you just initialize everything inside a main method, because inside a main method, it is essential to initialize the values if you are going to print the value. So let me delete this one so that you will get a good idea about that. On the deletes. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3. What are the errors? See this. Cannot resolve symbol. Sorry, actually, I just mentioned these values, right? Sorry, I need to copy this one. I will take as a Boolean. Yep, see this. Variable a Boolean might not have been initialized. So it is essential to initialize. Forget about this. Actually, one is enough for the explanation. So you should declare that. You should initialize this value. If you are going to use inside, if you are going to declare the variables inside your own method, it is essential to initialize. Okay, I think you got the point. Okay, let me delete this. Yeah. Okay. Everything is, I think you got what I'm saying. Now let me go for another program. Yes. Yeah. So I think you are so much familiar with the quadratic equations. In the Play Store itself, this is my basic program. In the Google Play Store, there is an app called, this is my first basic program I did in Google Play Store. The name is Quadratic Equations Comparison. Sorry, isn't spelling right? No, this is a correct one. Yeah, this is the name of my application inside the Play Store. Just if you have any doubt, just check it out. Okay, so this is the basic program I created. That's why I got somewhat good idea about the quadratic equations. So what is a quadratic equation? Just know the basic principle. So we are going to find out the x value and the y value. So what is a quadratic equation? Ax square plus bx plus c. How many roots will be available for that? 2 roots will be available. So how to calculate that one? So how to calculate in the sense minus b plus or minus, I think you each are very familiar with this. I think in the intermediate itself, you can't write over here. So minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac by 2a, where c is a constant. Where c is a constant, let me show you. Yeah, this is c. Where c is a constant, I'm not going to print first these all things. I will print only a. So the main program name is to find out the root values, and they asked about to find the discriminant. What is the discriminant? B square minus 4ac. Let me share you that. 1 second. Okay. So this is so this is the name of our program. Write a Java program that displays the roots of a quadratic equation ax square. This is not 2, this is in power. Ax square plus bx is equal to 0. Okay, why they mention like this? This is not the correct order. This is the correct order. This is the okay. Plus c is equal to 0, and calculate the discriminant d. They are going to ask like, it's just a variable name, so there is no need to think about a d. And basing on the value of d, find the nature of the root. I think for the quadratic equations, we are having 2 roots. If we find out a discriminant, what is a discriminant? B square minus 4ac. So you are going to find out the discriminant, and then you are going to use that and find the roots. They ask in this manner only. Okay. So now I just declared 3 variables. I just declared 3 variables. So inside that, I'm going to consider a keyboard input. What is a keyboard input? Already we discussed in the previous session so many times. How to give the keyboard input? We can have a buffered reader source out there. This is the easy way, which is available. The scanner is available inside a util package. So where that util package is inside already, that was a predefined class defined by the Java. So this is a predefined class. So we are going to create an object over here by using a new keyword. Familiar that if we use a new keyword, we are going to create an object. How the JVM allocates memory for this object? It creates inside a heap area. So the memory will be JVM creates object in heap area. Yeah. So what the JVM, let me declare as JVM. Okay. When you used a new keyword, the compiler will think like, okay, this person is going to create an object. So I need to allocate what the JVM decides. Okay, there is a new keyword, and now I have to allocate a memory inside a heap area. So in the sense of an arrays, we consider arrays also as an object, as we discussed, right? So arrays also an objects. Don't you think like arrays store somewhere else? Arrays also, while you are going to declare an array, you will use a new keyword. So the JVM allocates the memory inside a heap area for the arrays too. So there is two ways you can pass an object. We already discussed to pass an object as a parameter inside the second unit, I think. Yeah. In the similar way, we are going to pass the array also through parameters. So I will discuss that one. I think this is a combined session, right? In our session, I'm going to explain that one also. There is no need to worry. Each and everything I will explain. So this is an object we created by using a new keyword, which is predefined method. What the JVM does? The JVM allocates a memory inside a heap area. This is the main concept. Okay, now by using, I'm declaring as print enter A. What is the initial, sorry, A, B, and C, because we are having quadratic equations and we need to enter those values dynamically. I'm going to give the values through keyboard. We'll call it as a dynamic. So the memory will be allocated at the time of a runtime, at the time of an execution. So now A, B, and C, these are all three values we are going to give the input. So for reading an integer, we are having a method called, let me take it as the variable name as input. Copy. Okay. See, A is an integer. For that, I need to take a next int. So the scanner consisting of a method called next int. Next in the sense, it will wait for the value at the time of an execution. So the program will be aborted. The program will program stops, and then it will wait for the value that we have to give the value there. When I declare the next int, which is a method available inside a scanner, the program will stops and it waits for the value through keyboard. So the similar way we are going to declare a B and C. I'm not going to print this one. First of all, I want to show you how the keyboard will take the input. Okay, let me run this program. This is a simple program. There is no need to worry. Just there is a what we call that asterisk. Into, addition, division. What all the things are available. So, but the way you are learning, that was important. Let me run this program. Oh man, no. Okay, see, it is waiting for the cursor. It is waiting for the value. Here we are going to give the value, like I'm going to assign a value to, and then I press enter, and it is asking. So the program has been stopped at the time of an execution. So it is expecting a value from the keyboard. Let me show you this. See, what is this? Yeah, see this. So at the time of system.out.println, but we are using system.in as a parameter. We are passing the system.in, give the input. It is waiting for the input. In the sense of system.out, we are going to print the values. Please make sure that remember this word system.in, and there is a system.out. It should be .in only. It is expecting an input. So this is the only parameter available inside a scanner. So this is a class. I think I explained the constructors, right? So this is the constructor, default constructor argument available inside a scanner class. They built this scanner class. See this, constructs a new scanner that produces a value scanned from the specified input stream. This is the default. There is a default constructor, and this is the augmented constructor. There is a single parameterized constructor available inside a scanner. This is the main usage, which is available inside the util package. So construct a new scanner that produces a value scanned from the specific input stream. Okay, I think you got a good idea about this. And now let me give another value, B and 4. Okay, the process has been finished. So when you are going to give an input, oh my God, time is running out. I expected like 2 program. I mean, okay. I think we are having a last class, right? So I think Sar is going to take his class, and I'm going to take my class. I will explain over there. Two more programs. We'll conclude. I think we'll go for another program. Okay. So here the execution will stops and it waits for the value from the keyboard. And now I'm going to explain this one, which is a very important for you. So inside a println statement, we are going to display the same like this, which is not in a proper manner. We can't even understand there is a power where we are seeing it as a 2. We are seeing it as a value. It should be like a power. So the Java is a very good language. We are having a Unicode values. These are Unicode values. So we have to use, in the sense of a HTML, we will use like this, capital U plus. Inside a HTML, we'll use like this. But inside a Java, we are going to use /U. Excuse me. Okay, it's okay. So we will call these as a Unicode values. These are Unicode values. Sir, what is this Unicode value? What it displays? This is a power 2, B2 in the sense AX square. In the power, you are going to use a 2. For that, we have to use this one. There are so many Unicode values out there. Just search in a Google according to your application point of view. So now AX square, and there should be a plus. Each and everything should be a string value inside a println. That's why we are concatenating. Plus in the sense concatenating. I just concatenated A. A is already declared. I mean, sorry, we are going to give the value. And the X, we are going to print that one. And there should be a Unicode value. After that, we are going to concatenate a plus in between that. So after that, B. And we are going to, just using BX plus C. Why I used this one? This is Unicode value for equal to. This is a Unicode value for equal to. Okay. Let me run this program. You will get a good idea after that. Okay, I'm going to give, 2, 3, 4. See this, we got good output because we used Unicode values, and this is also a Unicode value. We should not mention in between double quotes like is equal to also. There is a Unicode value. You have to use a Unicode value only. You should not declare like this. Let me show you that. Sir, I don't need like that. I just put is equal to over here. This is not the right program. This is not the way we do. We have to use Unicode values. Okay, it's your wish. Just learn in this way. Okay. Okay, let me uncomment this. So now I'm going to find the discriminant. What is the discriminant? How to find that? I'm going to declare X an integer and B square minus 4AC because there is no division inside this statement. That's why I'm using integer. If there is any division over here, we have to use a double. Please remember all these things. What it will do, if there is any double, if there is any division, like let me show you this. A divided by 0. What it will give? It gives an error because nothing will be divided by 0. If it is like a 1, then it is okay. You will call it as A. I think this is a max class programs, right? Okay, let it be. We should not do like this. We should not do like this. So it depends on the statement we are going to implement. That's why I took it as an integer. I should not mention like a double. Yeah, we can make it as a double, but the memory allocation for the double is more compared with an integer. So the particular context, what you want, just use that one. Sir, I know each and every data type. Why can't we use a double or a float, whatever it is? Because if your work is going to complete with a small memory, why you are going to use a big memory for that? It is a wastage of time, and the performance of the application will be decreased and the time will be increased. So the programmer should know each and everything, how to behave, how to use, where to use. Okay. So that's why I declared an integer over here, and the discriminant will be calculated and it will be printed. Let me, okay, till here we are printing. After that, we'll go for the main root values. Okay, Control S. Let me run this program. Two, sorry. 3 and 4. See this is the discriminant for that. Okay, we found discriminant in the program. What he said, by using this discriminant, find the root values. We know that already we are having b square minus 4ac. How to use a square root? So we are having a function called inside a util package. We are having a method called math.power. This is available inside. Let me show you that. Sorry, it is already predefined. There is no need to worry about that. There is no need to call it. So I just let me show you. See this. The class math contains a method for performing basic numeric operations such as elementary exponential, logarithms, square roots, and trigonometric function. We are not going to use this one and this one. Just we need a square root. The main the class math consisting of each and everything we are using classes only. By creating the reference inside our class, we are going to access each and everything. So the math extends an object. Already this is a class. There is no need to extend an object. Extend in the sense, what is that? It is inheriting. Inheriting concept is there, right? The time of an inheritance, I will explain each and everything. So here, the math contains a method performing the basic numeric operations. There are so many numeric operations. In our scenario, in our context, we have to use power and a square root. So I'm declaring double. Why I declared a double over here? Because there is a square root. Maybe we can expect a digits. Maybe we are expect a digit values. That's why I use a double. 1 second. Yeah, time. Okay. So math dot square root. Inside that, inside a square root, we are going to use b square minus 4ac. Just time for your information point of view, I just declared this. You can use this one directly over here as x, because there is a method called power. That's why I just declared this one. You can directly use x over here to print the values. So b square minus 4 asterisk a asterisk c. So now we find this one, b square minus 4ac has been calculated. Now we are going to find the root values. This is root 1. This is root 2. Okay, let me run this program. What is the formula for that? Minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. Plus or minus in the sense, for the plus one root value, for the minus another root value. Okay, let me run this program. You will get not a number value. I will explain that one also. Oh, wait a second. 3 and 2. See this. It does not have a roots. You know everything. How to calculate this? If you calculate this one, it does not have a root values. That's why it is showing not a number, NaN in Java. This is also important. Just remember this one. If you have any values that it consisting of root values, just use that values to get the value over here. Okay, I'll share each and everything. So if there in, I don't know actually the equation is which will come, which will give the good values. Okay, so NaN in the sense not a number. This is also a not a number. So the values we declared 4x square plus 3x plus 2, that there is no roots for that. Okay, I think time has been completed. Okay, I think this is a good example for you to learn each and everything. So many concepts we have has been covered till now. So how to create an object for the input keyboard using input keyboard, and we discussed about the data types and how to use this scanner to give a keyboard value input, and there is Unicode values, how to declare the particular symbols, and we are using a math operator, sorry, math class, which consisting of a basic numeric values for the calculation of basic numeric values like square root, power, and a trigonometry. So many things are there. So we learned a lot with this a simple program. This is a simple program to find out root values by using a discriminant. Okay, I think you understand. I mean, you understood well in this class. Thank you. You may leave now. Thank you.